So, Yvonne, the South African consumer consumption, we're seeing it steadily up based on some of these charts and the research that you have. Why aren't we seeing that reflected, though, in the growth story?
Yes, so it's a good point. We're seeing through some of the proxies, including retail sales, that there's been a return to growth from about a year ago, and that's been accelerating. The reason we're not seeing it yet in the GDP numbers is because gross fixed capital formation, which is essentially investment, is still sluggish. It was negative in the first quarter, suggesting that we haven't seen a recovery on the investment front. But over time, as demand does pick up, we're expecting investment to begin to do the same.
Let's take a look at some other economies that you've dug into a bit deeper, and that is Kenya and Ghana. Very different stories about the consumer in each. Can you walk us through both?
Yes, so in the case of Kenya, we've seen the consumer is challenged and struggling. That's due to a cost of living crisis. I think we saw the escalation of that a year ago when there was the protests around the tax bill. This is as a consumer who faced both a high inflation post the depreciation of the currency, as well as an increasing tax burden, started to protest and said this was beginning to cause strain. And as a result, we've seen consumer confidence decline there. It's in negative territory, according to CASI Insights data. If we look across into West Africa and look at Ghana, there has been an improvement, particularly over the past 6 to 9 months in consumer sentiment. That's reflecting the fall in inflation. You may recall a couple of years ago, inflation was over 50% at one point. In the case of Ghana, it's now heading towards the single digits, which is very encouraging. It's helped by the fact that terms of trade have improved. As you know, they export gold, so the currency has benefited, and we're seeing inflation fall, as well as interest rates on the back of that, and that's helping improve sentiment for the Ghanaian consumer.
That seems like it's a bit of a sign of an approval of what we've seen the Mahama administration do early on.
True. So we have seen reforms as a result of the new administration, but of course they're also riding on the wave of debt restructuring, which has been positive for that particular country, similar to Zambia's restructuring story. So that's helped as well.
So it feels like there is not one blanket term for where the African consumer is. It really depends on, it's not even regionally based. It's which economy are you talking about? Is that safe to say?
Correct. It depends on domestic policy. But if we were to talk about themes we're seeing across the continent, the oil importers are benefiting from lower energy prices, so we're seeing inflation relatively low in the case of South Africa, hence our governor wanting to, preferring to target the lower end of the target band of 3 to 6%. Similarly in Kenya, there's relatively low inflation. It's an East African story, so that is helping the consumer. But what's also encouraging is that in countries that have had double-digit inflation, such as Nigeria, Ghana, as well as Zambia, we are beginning to see a slowdown. And so over the next 6 to 12 months, we're expecting sentiment to improve in those countries as well.
Is there anything interesting you find about Tanzania? Because that is also something that CASI Insights tracked a bit closely.
True. So sentiment there has been generally quite positive. Tanzania has been pretty good at managing inflation, keeping it in the mid to low single digits. So that's helped the consumer. It's a positive story in terms of its infrastructure development that's driving growth. So yes, there you're generally seeing a relatively stable consumer helped by low inflation.